northern Germany, a vast open plain. If the Warsaw Pact countries did attack, they would try the easy way first, with fast-moving armoured columns pouring across the open countryside. But such open country makes for perfect killing areas, and will be defended in depth by several battle groups. Sooner or later, the enemy would be forced to come at us through the broad tracts of woodland and thick forest that sprawl across the whole area. Here the terrain can be made to work against an aggressor, and in favour of determined defenders, forward combat teams prepare to fight a shoot-and-scoot war against the enemy.
Friendly forces. 2nd Battalion Grenadier Guards Battle Group is defending the Grunenstadter Wald with 2 combat teams up. Left, number 1 company. Right, number 2 company, ourselves. Depth, number 3 company. Mission. Number 2 company is to deny the enemy passage through the Grunenstadter Wald within boundaries. Number 2 company is to deny the enemy passage through the Grunenstadter Wald within boundaries. Execution general outline. This is a 3-phase operation. 2 platoons up, 1 in reserve. Phase 1. You will establish your section and half-section ambushes and prepare your platoon positions. Phase 2 will be your platoon ambushes, and Phase 3 will be the main battle in the combat team defensive position. The area is divided into beach in the north, fir in the south. And please all note this one exit to the wood, astride which the main combat team position will be. 5 platoon, you will be in the firs, ambushing dog, cow, and cat.
Yep.
6 platoon, you will be in the beach, ambushing Apollo, Saturn, and Jupiter. 4 platoon, you will man and dig the main combat team position.
4 platoon is the reserve platoon, and to them falls the task of preparing the main combat team position, for themselves and for the 2 forward platoons. They'll be helped by the sapper detachment, with all the equipment at their disposal. They've got about 36 hours. With anything less than 36 hours, the whole combat team might have to dig in here first, before moving forward to prepare the platoon and section ambushes. The important thing is to sight the trenches carefully, to dig them deep, to revet them properly, and to give them good overhead protection, and then to camouflage them effectively. Every trench must be fully stocked with ammunition, ready for the forward platoons when they eventually fall back. The reserve platoon's APC should be well dug in, not just for their own protection, but as an integral part of the combat team's defensive fire plan. Since the combat team position may have to be held at all costs, it's wise to wire not just the front, but every other approach, and to mine all the possible access routes. This is, after all, where the crunch will come, so we must be prepared to hold our ground indefinitely. Tanks are nowhere near so effective in close country. The trees limit their range and their mobility. Only 1 tank is being dug in on the combat team's main defensive position. That's because there's only 1 good tank chute available. The rest of the troop and the Milan detachment can be held in reserve, covering the rear of the wood in case enemy armour tries to outflank or even bypass the main combat team position.
Our mission is to deny enemy passage.
The combat team commander's orders are repeated at platoon level, to the section commanders, or if time is really pressing, to the entire platoon.
We are setting up 2 individual section ambushes. Son Eldeshaw, you will take the left forward ambush position known as Route Apollo.
Yep.
Sergeant Moore, you will take the right forward ambush position known as Route Saturn.
Yep.
Corporal Gordon, Sergeant Boucher, platoon headquarters and 3 section. We will set up a platoon ambush position overlooking Route Jupiter at the bottom of the hill here. Right, move.
Again, time permitting, the reserve section will dig the platoon defensive position, while the other 2 sections go forward to prepare their ambushes. Digging in has exactly the same priorities both in beechwoods and in firs. The trenches must be deep. They must be properly revetted. And they must have good, solid overhead protection. This can be based on logs, and there are literally piles of these in most German forests, or on doors stripped from nearby houses, or from anything else that comes to hand. The main thing is to build a good base for the 2 layers of sandbags and earth, which will provide protection from the shrapnel caused by artillery fire bursting overhead in the trees. In Germany, the fir trees grow so close together, it's often difficult to find a good ambush position. In the end, it may come down to finding arcs of fire which occur naturally in the trees. Then it's just a matter of clearing away the undergrowth. In beechwoods, clearing a field of fire may mean using the assault pioneers to provide a little heavier demolition. If you're only going to get 1 shot at the enemy, make sure it's a good one. In heavily wooded areas, radio is rarely 100% reliable. And anyway, radio silence must be maintained at least until the forward ambushes are sprung. So all the early communication within the combat team must be by line. Yes, sir. As soon as he can, the combat team commander himself will make a point of getting round to each position.
Quickly show me around the position.
He must satisfy himself that his orders have been clearly understood and effectively carried out.
The left edge of those logs is where the mines are, sir.
Good. Your mortar target is confirmed as X-ray 2.
Well-coordinated supporting fire could be vital to a section bugging out through beechwoods, where the trees themselves offer only partial cover. Single-strand barbed wire can be useful here. Strung low between the trees, it can really foul up the enemy infantry. The best deterrent, though, is the command-detonated anti-personnel mine. This will annihilate anything within a 60-meter arc. Properly sighted, it can give a sub-unit a 30-second start at the beginning of a bug-out. A section bugging out through fir trees gets good cover from the trees themselves being so close together. But that makes it even more important that the way back should be properly wrecked and clearly marked. Bugging out through beechwoods is a different proposition. The trees offer much less protection, so it may have to be a set-piece withdrawal under covering fire. And that's something that must be properly rehearsed.
When we withdraw, this will be your position by this tree, facing that way, covering those arcs, giving us covering fire across the open ground. Once we're out the open ground, we will then call you in. Any questions? Right, rest of you left, follow me.
The main enemy threat is along that ride from right to left.
Finally, every section and every man in that section must know how their ambush is to be sprung. Confusion costs lives, our lives, instead of the enemy's.
Unless you are attacked, then, as per SOPs, when the ambush is sprung, it will be by a vehicle going over the mine.
Mines will be laid by the sappers and the assault pioneers to the combat team plan. The ambushes must be properly coordinated and escape routes worked out to avoid all these devices. These will be mostly anti-tank mines, positioned so as to stop the leading vehicle and cause it to block the route for those following behind, which can then be dealt with by the anti-armor weapons. But the sappers and assault pioneers have another, even more important role to play: to block those routes and rides which we can spare neither the time nor the men to ambush. For this, anything goes. Anything that will check an enemy column and channel it into our main ambushes. But there's more to successful route denial than just blocking the route. Every obstacle must be comprehensively mined. Not just against armor, but against enemy personnel who might try to dismantle the block. In front of the combat team's area, well forward of the tree line, are the forward observation posts, the combat team's eyes. These forward OPs have a direct line back to combat team headquarters. They must be well sighted, incredibly well camouflaged, and manned by experienced observers, probably the FOO himself in one post and the MFC here in the other. First contact with the enemy has been made by our close recce units, well forward of our defensive line.
Following you two, this is Tango 61 Alpha, moving back now through your location with Tango 61 Bravo, over.
It's been barely 36 hours since we moved into position, and it's been a bit of a sweat getting everything done in time. It always is.
Hello, 2, this is 2-2, online. Ambush is set on rides. Cow, cat, and dog. All positions ready. Over.
So now, everything is ready. All we have to do is wait. The first enemy units we can expect will be elements of their recce forces. These must be dealt with before they penetrate too far into the woods and discover our ambush positions.
Hello 2, this is 5-2 Alpha, online, contact now, grid 844-687, 1 BMP moving southwest towards wood. I'm observing, over.
The best tactic is probably a quick half-section ambush, unplanned if necessary, from a prepared position if there's time. Once the ambush is sprung and the enemy infantry begin to show their faces, hit them with everything you've got. And then get the hell out of it. The classic guerrilla tactic, hit and run. And keep running, back to your prepared section positions, because the enemy might just respond with artillery fire. Apart from the sheer noise of the barrage, there'll be a lot of shrapnel and splinters flying around, especially from airburst. That's why we pay so much attention to good overhead protection. Otherwise, the main effect of artillery fire tends to be to create even more obstacles to the enemy's own progress.